Happy New Year out there, Vol Nation. This is Frank, House of Orange TV. There's a lot of news that's come out today. Some pretty big moves made to go with Tennessee football today from a coaching standpoint and player attrition standpoint as well. Hit the like, the share, that subscribe. Again, thank you so much for your support along the way. Where to start here? Let's start with players. Two big portal entries today. Lance Hurd and Bennett Warren. Now, obviously, Lance Hurd was starting left tackle this past season. The talk most of the season, he was going to enter the NFL draft. Now, evidently, he's not. And from what I've seen, and this come down to it, I've seen a bit of the speculation on this, but Austin Price, VolQuest.com was point blank on it. Apparently, the plan is for David Sanders Jr. to be the left tackle next year. Hurd didn't want to be the right tackle. And it said that Hurd's agent asked for $3 million. Tennessee doesn't need to do that. It was the right move to let him go in that regard. And he did a good job for him this year. Don't get me wrong on that. And I definitely don't want to see him leave by any means. But, they're going to have to pick where their money goes. And because they need instant impact at numerous positions for next year. For me on that one with Hurd, you're not paying him that money. You're just not on it. And then, of course, Bennett Warren entered as well. I don't necessarily think this is one they wanted to happen based on what I'm reading, but, these guys want to play. And to me, I think it's, barring that there's no more transfers. Of course, you had Max Anderson transferred yesterday, interior offensive lineman, that he'll be entering the portal. And could there be more? It's very possible. But the way I think that it plays out to me is you're going to move Jesse Perry back to right tackle. That would give you Sham Umaroff. That would give you Wendell Moore Jr., your guards, and then, of course, Sam Pendleton at center. That's a pretty solid line. And to me, when Jesse Perry was playing right tackle earlier in the year, I thought he was doing a really good job at that point. So if you get him back in the form he had earlier this year, you move Sanders over to left tackles. Sanders is one of these, should be a franchise guy, a franchise left tackle. They paid him big money to come there. Yeah, he played right tackle this year, but yeah, the plan based on everything I've seen, he was brought in to be the left tackle, and he'll be that for the next 2 years down in Knoxville. You got to also factor in, you signed, depending on the publication, 5-star Gabriel Osenda out of Chattanooga to come in. Could he come in and compete at right tackle? You got Kamari Blair coming in. It's been a minute since I've done the portal videos, but since I did the specific one I'm referring to, but I talked about roster attrition. I said it wouldn't surprise me to see upwards of 20 dudes hit the portal. I don't know that many. I'm just kind of speculating. Hurd at the time was actually not one that I'd planned on. I thought he would be more of going to the draft, though, is what I thought. But just look at the offensive line now. You got Algamura coming back. He was a true freshman this year. Sam Pendleton, David Sanders Jr., Wendell Moore Jr., William Satterwhite as of now, Jermias Hurd, Lance Hurd, of course, hitting the portal. You got Nick Moore, who was a true freshman this year, Bennett Warren to the portal, Max Anderson to the portal, Jesse Perry will be a redshirt sophomore. Brian Grant's still listed. I don't know how he's still around because I've only seen him in mop-up duty, and he's listed as a redshirt junior. Sham Umaroff, you got Gage Ginther. So, they could add possibly, but, I've seen it too that could they possibly go to the portal also. I don't know on that. I think it depends if you lose, but to me, you've got your starting five coming back that I mentioned right there. And again, with that money, because you've got to get a quarterback, whether it's a starter or whether it's somebody to compete, you're going to have to add a running back, whether it's somebody to compete or a starter. I mean, I don't think anybody comes in and, takes Deshaun Bishop's job by any means, but still you need more than 3 running backs on your roster also. And then, of course, I don't think you need anything else on offense. You don't need receivers, tight ends. And I really think they've got enough offensive linemen. They may differ on that one, but defense, I mean, you need them at all levels. You need defensive linemen. Will they get an edge rusher possibly? Will they add a linebacker possibly? They're definitely going to have to add in the secondary. There's no doubt about that. So that's kind of the player news. Coaching news, though, this is one I've harped on. I've been harping on it, and I've harped on it. Kurt Schmidt is out as strength and conditioning coach. His contract will not be renewed. Will not be renewed at this point. The names that I have seen on this, let me get back to where I saw it earlier. The names I've seen, of course, one is Tommy Moffitt. He's got a connection there. He's been at Texas A&M. From what I've seen, he's pretty happy there. He's been there a long time. On an interesting name that I've seen is Corey Miller, who used to play for Tennessee. He was recruited in by Lane Kiffin. He was came in at that time, but he stayed. He played under Dooley. Did he make it to play for Butch Jones? I don't know if he did. Can't remember if he did or not. But Corey Miller, he was at Ole Miss. Apparently he's been at UCLA, so that's a name that I've seen there. What they're looking at is ties right now. And another one is Indiana's strength and conditioning coach, Derek Owens, says he was with Heupel one time at Central Florida. Now you got to think, though, based on what Indiana's doing, they're probably paying him some pretty good money on it. So that, I don't know how realistic that one would be. It'd be a great one. But one I had wondered about was Chuck Losey from Penn State, but I saw he's going with James Franklin to Virginia Tech. And then, what's going to happen, considered one of the best strength and conditioning coaches, Rob Glass at Oklahoma State. Haven't seen if they're keeping him or not on it. Not sure if their new coach brings his own or what, because that's what I was curious about Penn State. But Matt Campbell's bringing his from Iowa State with him. So this is a very important hire for Josh Heupel. Number one, we've got to get these lines. Whatever it is we're doing now is not working. We're getting out physicaled by the better teams. I mean, that's the bottom line with it. To finesse, you could say. And, I've seen the philosophy too. It said that Jim Knowles wants bigger defensive linemen and bigger edges there. So you may not see these, I wouldn't say skin. They're by no means skinny, but you're more slender, faster guys. You may see more beef in there. And I don't know if that's a bad thing, to be honest with you. I mean, especially what we saw this year. But, the line, for one thing, was, but it was all three levels in the middle. The linebackers were out of position. The safeties were horrible this year. The safeties were absolutely horrible this year. Let's make no bones about that. Too much, just too much with it. Just a piss poor job by the defense this year. I mean, let's put the bottom line on that one. But strength coach is there. Now it looks like, too, that it's come out that Tennessee is looks like Knowles has got his first hire. I've seen it a little bit here. Andrew Jackson's his name. A.J. Jackson, he was with Knowles at Penn State. Looks like he'll be an assistant defensive line coach coming in. So that's your first hire. Another name I've seen mentioned, Austin Price put out there, is Michael Hunter Jr., he's an analyst at Ohio State right now, it looks like, but looks like he may come in and coach the corners. And, Anthony Poindexter's one. He was not retained at Penn State. I've seen something about Louisville possibly trying to hire him as their defensive coordinator. Now, he was Penn State's interim defensive coordinator for the bowl game with it. But he coached with Knowles at Penn State. And so that would be a big hire there as well. And the latest I've seen, too, is they think William Inge will stay. So I was kind of curious on him, but looks like Inge will still be around. I mean, based on the latest that I've read. So what's that mean for Willie Martinez and Coach Chop? I don't know, because they're still under contract. Could they transition to an off-field role? Will they just be, relieved and go somewhere else? I've seen the talk before about Willie Martinez might be getting ready to hang it up at some point, but I know he signed a multi-year extension last year. And, from what I saw this year too, apparently Willie was coaching the safeties and not the corners. So, I don't know, man. It's the staff, it looks like, though, getting Michael Hunter from Ohio State, getting A.J. Jackson from Penn State. Rodney Garner is staying. He's got a new contract. It looks like William Inge, based on the latest I've seen, will be retained as well. That's a pretty good staff. So we'll see with Knowles. I've seen it said some too. I think you need that hard-nosed guy to come in. This team needs an edge about it. Heupel's making the right moves right now. He's making moves where he needs to make it. Got aggressive getting out, getting Jim Knowles. You would think he's going to get aggressive with this strength and conditioning program as well. The key to me is going to be what now do they do in the portal? Because, again, they need help at all three levels on the defense. You've got to have a quarterback and you've got to have a running back as well. I'm really fascinated to see what they do at quarterback because from what I've seen, they've already got some pretty good money tied up in George McIntyre and Faison Brandon. The part of me looking at the schedule says you almost got to add, but how comfortable they feel with George McIntyre too. This offense is ready to roll next year with your line. I think the line's going to be fine. Your tight ends minus Miles Kitselman, your receivers who steps up in Chris Brazel's place. You'll have Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley there. The main thing I'd like to see fixed with them is the drops. There were crucial drops this year at numerous times that just killed this team. And, you look at Matthews had the one against Vanderbilt that would have been a touchdown. And you had the one against Illinois the other day with Staley where, it was high. He still should have caught it. And then Max Gilbert missed the field goal. And I'm curious to see what happens with kicker as well. Is that something where they feel like they need to make a change or not? Because I know with kicking, not that I was a kicker by any means, but it can be mental. And there were some big misses this year. There were some big misses. Yeah, that one kick did not cost Tennessee the game against Illinois. The one kick didn't against Georgia. It just happened to be the thing that you look back on, and it could have been the difference, obviously. But they've got to clean up. They've got to clean. This has got to be a disciplined program, and I think that's where you need. I think you need a hard-nosed strength and conditioning guy in there because he's with this team a lot, and the coaches can be with them more now. The strength and conditioning coach used to was almost like another head coach in a respect because he was with them so much. You need somebody that's going to come in and bust their balls. I'm just going to be blunt about it. Come in and flat out get them. And get them in shape, get them up to speed, get them up to par with the rest. And, it's not a conference for the weak. The SEC is not. College football is not for the weak. They need a guy that's going to come in and get these things going again. And I'm curious to see how long that'll be because you've got the portal opens tomorrow. I'm curious to see. I've not seen yet, but if they'll have any visitors this weekend, I would have to think it's a possibility because school hasn't started back and with the portal only open for 2 weeks. It'd be interesting to see if and how many they do host. But keep you updated on any more news that we get along the way. This is Frank. This is the House of Orange. Happy New Year once again, and I'll see you when I see you.